Hello and welcome. I'm Rossi Sanchez, and this is the Mindful Evening Hour. The Mindful Evening Hour, for those of you who don't know, is, in the words of one of my followers, not just another meditation thing. It's a bit of science, emotional intelligence, and a bit of story peppered with my unique sense of humor. Every week, we take a 30-minute light but deep dive into common behaviors and relationship issues and use the power of focus to tap into who we truly are so we can start understanding, appreciating, and loving ourselves and those around us more and creating the life we came here to live. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I'm super excited to share this new 4-part program, the Love Series, with you, starting with tonight's topic, falling in love with you. That's with you. But before we start, I want to invite you to get comfortable and relax. We're going to breathe a little. If you're seated, place your feet on the floor, roll your shoulders back, let out your belly, place your hands on your lap, open to the sky, and close your eyes. And let's take 3 deep and satisfying breaths. Breathe in for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 8. One more time. And again. Nice. So where were we? Just kidding. After my separation from my last ex-husband, I not only had to clear out a whole house by myself, but I also had to shed years of emotional shrapnel. And there was a lot of shrapnel. I'm very sociable, yet I remember going out and being afraid to look at people, afraid my gaze would happen to spot a good-looking man or someone my ex would consider good-looking and accuse me of ogling. It took me a while to realize no one was tracking my eye movements or keeping me awake at night, trying to get into my head and twisting my words to the point that I no longer knew what I had just said seconds before. I realized that I didn't have to walk on eggshells anymore, that it was just me now, that the crazy making had stopped, that I could finally find myself. But who was I? The friends who knew what a dysfunctional relationship I had just left, after a while started asking me if I was dating anyone. My response was, "Are you kidding me? I'm dating myself. I don't even know who I am." I really didn't recognize who I was, and it took me about a year to get back to me and eventually start dating. I remember talking to other women who were also dating at the time, and I'd hear the usual complaint that there are no good men to be had. They're all either married or in relationships. Coming out of a 13-year nightmare, I beg to differ. But as far as I was concerned, when it came to dating, I was just going to have fun. To me, every date was like going on a job interview. I never knew what to expect, and because I was so open, I learned a lot about men. But what I learned about men from men was enlightening, but it was nothing compared to what I learned about myself. Because people, after all, are in our lives as mirrors, as reflections of how we feel and how we act, how we want to be. And what the mirror was showing me was that underneath the layers of old beliefs I had collected as I was doing life, like clothes you keep piling on, even though they may not be your style or even fit you well, underneath all that conditioning, I was still who I was as a child, that nothing had changed, that I was and always will be open and transparent, that I'm like a puppy, bouncy, playful, loving. I don't hold back. I don't have an agenda except to eat, drink, and go for walks. I learned that freedom is still one of my favorite words in the English language. that I love adventures, crave intellectual stimulation, and physical exercise. Nothing surprised me about this knowledge, except that I had allowed myself to hide it for so long. So after a while of online dating, though, I started feeling that um, I wanted more than just free dinners, but that I wasn't going to find it on the internet. So I started closing down all the dating sites. But before I did, I reached out to someone who caught my eye. This person became extremely important in my life, and I will tell you more about him in the coming weeks. But for now, I just want to say that it was during the time I was dating him that I came to the realization that while there was a phenomenal connection and an immense love between us, unlike anything I had ever experienced before, that love and that connection was not greater than what I felt inside of me. In fact, it was because of what I felt that the relationship was so powerful. What I mean is that no one, no matter who they are and how they treat you, can give you the love that you already are. You see, more than a feeling, love is a state of being. It's what we're made of. I'm talking about universal consciousness, the essence that connects us all, according to Einstein, anyways. It's something that once you tap into, nothing else compares. And you do that when you become aware. We all get glimpses of this when we fall in love, of course, because that's what the experience is. We're falling into ourselves, we're filling ourselves in the deep well of love and appreciation, and then we're opening up and sharing it. You've all heard the saying, it's better to give than to receive. That is exactly it. Love is wonderful, not because it's coming at you, but because it's coming from you. If you don't believe me, think about a situation where someone expressed their love for you, but you didn't feel the same way toward them. Maybe you felt indifference or sympathy, you felt sorry for them, or even repulsion, depending on who it was and the circumstances. Now compare that to a situation where you were in love with someone, but they didn't love you back. And even though your love was not reciprocated, the experience of holding them as your object of desire, while it might have been gut wrenchingly painful at times, was also hopeful and exhilarating, euphoric even. Because from this love that emanated from you, you could imagine things, you could create scenarios with that person, and that brought you joy for the moment. So it's in the outpouring of love that we feel ecstatic, not in the receiving of it. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's reciprocated, it's pretty freaking awesome. What happens often, though, is that after the initial infatuation, we start intellectualizing our relationship or placing conditions on the beloved or replaying old scenarios in our minds that don't allow the relationship to be fresh and new. Deep, long lasting relationships are only possible when we continue to tap into the well of love and keep sharing it. In this last relationship I was in, during one of our breakups, I experienced something extremely powerful and revealing, which has truly changed my life. I was in my car right after getting home and I was feeling sad. And I remember closing my eyes and just sitting there. And suddenly, inside of me, I saw myself teeny tiny. And I thought, oh, that must be my inner child. But then noticed it was me as an adult. Then I saw another teeny tiny version of me, also as an adult. This one awash in this bright yellow glow, which happens to be one of my favorite colors and the color of my energy. And suddenly there was a mesh of these two entities as if they had melded together. And while it felt a bit awkward at first, it also felt like total acceptance, total forgiveness. It felt safe. It felt like home. To give you an idea of what that feeling was like, it's as if you just stepped into your favorite grandmother's house and no matter what you do or how you behave or how down on your luck you are, always greets you with a wraparound hug and makes you feel like you're God's gift to the world. And this was that kind of feeling. Total, unconditional love. I realized then that I had just tapped into my inner me. And while it took a while to reacquaint ourselves, she's now my best buddy. Her name is Yellow. I thought about giving her a Spanish name, but calling her Amarillo just reminded me of Texas too much. You see, while we may think that we're physical beings with some beliefs of spirituality, the truth is we're spiritual beings in a physical world and have this physical body to help us navigate it. So theoretically, and it's not a theory, I just like the word, it's as if we're always playing a virtual reality game of life. Like we're two people in one. There's the outer you, the physical person we see, hear, smell, and touch, the one that's holding the commands, the one that goes to school, to work, has kids, goes on diets, Zooms with friends, and watches Netflix. The external, physical, palpable you, the one that's constantly thinking and doing. And then there's the inner you. Now, this inner you is always with you, but it doesn't react to things like the outer you does. The inner you is not constantly reliving the past, what was said, wasn't said, why you acted this way or didn't act a certain way. The inner you doesn't live in the future, waiting for the day you bump into Mr. Right in the produce aisle, or your husband starts paying attention to you after years of focusing on your children, or you land a new job or buy the new house. The inner you is just enjoying the moment. She's like an observer, peaceful, wise, accepting, appreciative, all knowing, joyful, creative, and most of all, loving. If you've ever had wonderful ideas come out of nowhere, your aha moments, they didn't come out of nowhere. They came from your inner you. If, on the other hand, once you got those wonderful ideas, you wrecked your brain trying to figure out how to make them happen, that's the outer you. If you've fallen in love, yep, inner you. If you started making demands on your lover, outer you. If you were mesmerized while looking at a rainbow or a waterfall or staring into a buffalo's eyes, inner you. If suddenly you wanted to bring the buffalo home with you, outer you. Because for the inner you, there's no clinging to anything or avoidance of anything. There's no judgment. Every moment, every person, every situation is as it is. This kind of peaceful, joyful appreciation and acceptance, this unconditional love, no one else can give you. But they don't need to. You don't have to go to anyone for this. All you need to do is lean back into awareness. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Are you ready for a bit of mindfulness? Now let's get comfortable. You're seated again. Make sure your feet are on the floor. Let your belly come out to play. Close your eyes. And let's take 3 deep breaths. You want to breathe in for a count of 4 and breathe out slowly for a count of 8. Feel your rib cage as you exhale. Let's do that again. And if everyone could put themselves on mute, let's do that one more time. Now start to breathe normally again and just focus on your breath. Notice how it feels when it enters your nostrils and fills up your lungs, and how it feels as it leaves your body. Just follow its trajectory. If any thoughts, sounds, or sensations arise, just acknowledge them and let them go. And get back to your breath. And let's do that for 1 minute. Now imagine that you're standing in your favorite place in the whole wide world. This could be the beach, the mountains, forest, favorite room, your backyard, any place that brings you peace and joy. I want you to imagine that there is someone just like you. In fact, it is you, standing right behind you. Your doppelganger, your twin. But this other you is clothed in your favorite color from top to bottom, and she's glowing. Her glow is so powerful that it passes right through you, making you feel safe, warm, appreciated, respected, and adored. Just stand there and feel how that feels. Witness how every cell in your body lights up as it is infused with this loving glow. Now let's travel down the body and scan it. Notice how it feels as it is awash in that loving glow. Let's start with your head. Feel your head. Feel your face, your forehead, your cheeks, your nose and mouth. And feel your ears. Feel that presence on your neck, your shoulders, your arms and hands. Feel your back as it is awash in that loving appreciation. Your torso, your hips, your thighs, your legs, your feet, and your toes. Now stand there and imagine yourself emanating that love out into the world. Start with your loved ones, your neighbors, your coworkers. Extend that glow to people you don't even like and notice how that feels. Extend it to those you may see often but don't really know. Now expand your glow to cover your city, your state, the country, the planet. For the next minute, let your loving glow cover the whole of the earth. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. So ladies, how was that?
Relaxing.
I'm getting some hearts.
I just didn't want to be on camera for it. Because otherwise I'll be like, oh, what's she doing? And I won't relax.
Any thoughts? On anything?
It's a great way to end my evening. So I'm so glad I tuned in, Rossi.
Thank you, Kim.
I agree. It brings us to a place where we can just relax. And I had some difficulties and had to sign off, or my iPad crashed on me, but I was still able to come back and catch the end part of it. So thank you for Rossi taking us on a journey with you, and then, leading us to the close of it, which was to relax ourselves and, come into our inner being.
Great. Thank you, Ryan.
I'm appreciative of you sending us to a place where we're where our light is extending to more than just ourselves, kind of extending to the whole world, kind of extending, like visualizing that. I think we all really need that right now. I think there's a lot of love that needs to go out to the world, and not just sort of for ourselves. And I think that that's it's a very powerful visualization to kind of open our hearts and energy to the rest of everybody that's hurting, or in a bad moment. So thank you for that.
It was very yummy. It was so relaxing. You reminded me of a thing I used to do a long time ago. I've been practicing mindfulness and yoga and meditation for a long time. And I always actually was thinking about this today to tell my daughter, because she's having a little bit of a hard time, but just to remember to picture your happy place. So I was happy to be reminded again to always picture that happy place, because it does really invoke that feeling of calm and peacefulness.
Yeah, and the truth is we've got everything we need inside. Just, we're always looking for it elsewhere, and no need for that.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Anyone else? Well, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I hope you've gleaned some insights as to what love truly is, where it comes from, and how we're so full of it. We're literally bursting with it. We may just be closing ourselves off from it, but rather than close ourselves off, now we know all we really need to do is lean back and feel it. It's like being a Tesla. You're coming up to the charging station and filling yourself with that most magnificent of energies we call love. Unlike a Tesla, you'll find limitless charging stations open everywhere 24/7. So you can always tap in, no charge. If no one has any other questions or any other comments, I hope to see you again next week as we uncover another topic in this 4-part series, love series. Can't fix anyone. That's a doozy. I hope to see you again. I'm Rossi Sanchez, and this is the Mindful Evening Hour. Good night.
Night, Ross.
Bye. Good
Thank
night,
you so much, Rossi.
Rossi.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
Bye,
night.
ladies. Thank you.
Of course, the one